Hi, I'm Amy Broughton, and I'm here today in Stantec's downtown Denver office with Aaron Davis and Richie Madison. Thank you both for being here. Aaron is the Director of Global Talent Engagement here at Stantec, and Richie is a principal in our Buildings group. And they're both here today because they're part of the Diversity and Inclusion Council here at Stantec, and they met with the council today and were willing to talk to me a little bit about what's happening with diversity and inclusion at Stantec. Aaron, since you've been involved for a while, maybe you could give us some background on the path Stantec has been on with diversity and inclusion.
Sure. Thank you, Amy. Diversity and inclusion is really important to our organization, and we've definitely been on a journey for the last several years. Today was a really great opportunity for our council members to get together in person and just pick up that energy and talk about what are some of the big issues that face our organization as we continue to grow into a global firm. And, there's lots of things that our employees want to learn more about what we're doing to become a more diverse and inclusive organization. So it was a really great opportunity for us to talk about that today.
Terrific. Maybe so we can give some of the viewers a sense of Stantec and what Stantec does. Richie, would you mind talking a little bit about your team and your practice here at Stantec?
So I've been a part of Stantec for 4 years. I'm located in our Irvine, California office. That office has about 200 people, and we have 20 in my group. Architects.
Big group.
Yes. So I'm trained as an architect, and we are pursuing healthcare, higher education, and commercial projects, primarily in the California region. Then nationally, as a part of Stantec, I plug into our higher education group across the country. So,
interesting stuff. As a company, Stantec, we focus on design, and when it comes to design is really the intersection of so many different disciplines. And we, as a company, intrinsically recognize the value of bringing together those disciplines and building on those varied perspectives. So there is, in a sense, what we do relies upon our ability to embrace and grow diversity. And so maybe you could talk to us a little bit about what the group focused on today and what the group intends to focus on going forward around diversity and inclusion.
Sure. I'll provide my perspective. I think one of the things that we talked a lot about today was just this idea of not only do we need to have diversity and inclusion within the organization, meaning we need employees to be able to come to work every day and feel that they can be included. And through that, we can start to build more diverse teams. But that's just internal to Stantec. And so when we talk about designing with communities in mind, it means that we need to also be representative of those communities. And if we're not, then we're not necessarily listening to the voice within the community. And so that was a big piece of what we talked about today, was really how can we get to that place where we can really truly be representative of those communities and ultimately our clients as well.
And there's, at the corporate level, what we do and the policies and the programs that we put in place, and then as individuals, how we act and how we act as team members and team leaders. Richie, maybe you could speak a little bit to some of the behaviors that exemplify that diverse and inclusive culture that we want to, that we continue to strive to build.
Yeah, so that was an interesting conversation. We talked a lot about high level, from the corporate level, the business case for why this is important. Related to, we're a large international firm. We have business lines that are directly involved with communities. A lot of those are very diverse. And so having the teams that have the qualifications and the diversity to reflect those communities is important. The next aspect of it was the leadership that are responsible for recruiting and retaining those teams. And our council includes HR. It includes business line leaders, that are building the teams, and then senior execs. So making sure that everybody kind of understands that a big picture, what's important, and that we, through the unconscious bias training, are making sure that we're creating an inclusive and fair environment here. And then at the grassroots level, we want to make sure that all those groups are empowered and they feel included. They feel like they have opportunities within the company to grow and to be themselves. So that was primarily kind of how we envision pulling us all together as we move forward.
Yeah. I hear about the unconscious bias and the unconscious bias training, and I'm wondering if maybe, Erin, you could talk a little bit about what unconscious bias is, conscious and unconscious bias, from Stantec's perspective, and then maybe a little bit about the training that we're rolling out.
Sure. The biggest learning when it comes to unconscious bias is it's, how our brain actually works and how it's programmed based on the experiences we've had, either where we grew up and where we went to school, the people that we interact with. And, our brains are really amazing things. And so these little nuggets of information get programmed in our unconscious and can show up sometimes in our interactions on a day-to-day basis. And so really today we spent the time talking about that definition and how that can show up, whether or not it's within our recruitment policies, within the teams that we're building, and saying, how can we take a pause and just start to think differently about how we're doing things, so we can really start to challenge the status quo. Right. So I think the important thing for Stantec is that we are training facilitators across the organization to be able to deliver this to employees and really activate a conversation about self-awareness and doing that in a grassroots way.
Right, because we don't always know when we're being inclusive or exclusive. I find myself making sort of quick snap judgments about a young woman on my team who's brilliant, and sort of needing to step back and allow what she's contributing more than her age sort of guide what I'm thinking and where I'm going. So is there anything that you came out of this meeting today with that is really energizing you, and that you're leaving and getting ready to sort of spread the word, and any specific action items from today?
Yeah, no, I know. I'm really happy to go first. I mean, the big thing for me was activating champions for change. And so I'm a big believer, if we can, find that one piece of passion in an individual and find the spark and get them to go out and create that change, then we're going to start to see that change spread across the organization. So it was really exciting to see all those council members in the room today just really speaking about what they're passionate about, and then we'll work together to figure out how they can activate that change across the organization. So that was what really stood out for me.
Great.
Yeah. I guess for me, I think this year's gathering, we have a comprehensive kind of plan of attack for the Women in Stantec Leadership Program, as well as underrepresented groups. Since we met the last time, there are some acquisitions that add a more global footprint to the company. And so I think looking at those challenges that they have related to D&I are a part of our strategy and approach now, and that'll be it'll be a fun challenge. So,
right, the international company, global company.
Right.
Yeah. Well, thank you both so much for chatting with me a little bit about your day and the diversity and inclusion program at Stantec. I enjoyed talking with you and hope to do it again soon.